So your idea about where did it come from where is that it could be, the knowledge could have been there. We just that knowledge was burnt down.
So you're saying that the Prophet Muhammad had access to the burnt writings of
No. My point is that knowledge could have been within that world. We simply, from our perspective, we don't know whether it was there.
Where would they have got that knowledge from if you require telescopes and submarines and?
No. But I'm sure that there was that knowledge.
Knowledge from submarines.
Okay, I don't know what this point about submarines is.
Interoceanic waves. You need to go deep down the oceans with a submarine to observe that. We have to go up
sonar.
We have to, or sonar technology. They had sonar technology.
You're saying they had sonar? Then
no, I'm saying. Are you saying they had sonars?
No.
Are you saying they had satellites that we can observe the interoceanic currents?
They had telescopes. The Greeks had telescopes.
Using telescopes, you won't be able to see.
This is the point.
Look.
With my point about the Great Library of Alexandria.
With a telescope, did they observe the universe expanding? No. They believed otherwise. They believed the universe is static. Yes. But the Quran says God created the universe with his own hands, and he's the expander thereof. Meaning he's constantly expanding it.
Yes.
Now. Yes. You don't expect that knowledge to have been there, present there with the technological tools they had, right?
No, but I do think it could have been there, but we just don't know about it now.
With what?
Because
how did they know?
This is my point. That what there was, like we don't know how they would know.
Do you understand how? I don't want to use the word absurd, but what you're saying is that there was this knowledge that was available in the.
I'm saying that knowledge could have been there.
Sure. And that was burnt 200 BC using your day. 800 years later, there is a person who, at the age of 40, starts to make these claims and writes these, and has this text written that he's presented.
And never makes any mistakes.
Yes.
And you're saying that somehow this person had access to that information.
No. I'm saying that.
It's okay. It's right.
No. I'm saying by virtue of that knowledge being there in the first place. Let's say it wasn't burnt. Let's say the Great Library of Alexandria. But I'm saying that the point is that knowledge was there. It could have been there. We just don't know that it was.
But where is so now what you have to show is that how the Prophet had access to this information.
Yeah, no, I can't tell you that.
So not only that, but there's a famous embryologist, and he said the claims that the Quran makes about embryology, Muhammad, peace be upon him, would have had to discover the electron microscope. I think 1,000 years before, or whatever that it was discovered. He would have to come up with profound scientific truths, destroy all the technology and everything he had, and then somehow sneak it into his book.
Just to give a little bit of spice to what you're saying, right?
Absurdity.
When it comes to human development as a baby in the mother's womb, there were so many different theories around, from the philosophers and the scientists, right? I want to contextualize it. So many. Imagine there's so many understanding of it, right? And they're all full of errors. Come 6th century, 7th century, when the Prophet Muhammad is there, he's somehow able to filter all of these wrong theories
come up with
the most accurate theory, which they didn't get it right until modern times. Like even 1673, when Van Leeuwenhoek had this microscope, they claimed they could see a whole human whole human being in a miniature form, and it makes it get bigger and bigger and bigger. Scientists claim that. 1673. The Quran, of course, 1440 years ago, saying no, human beings transforms, creation after creation of transformation from different stages. And today we know that this information is amazingly accurate. So you need to come up with a rational basis of saying how he is able to filter all the errors of science from the past and from his own contemporary times, and even after another 700, 800 years later in the future, and came up with a correct understanding. You have to justify that rationally.
Whilst being illiterate.
Yeah. No, I mean that's why I find the Quran to be such an amazing piece of work.
Isn't that more reasons for you to say this is instead a divine revelation?
No. I don't think it's got anything to do with divine revelation.
So you have to tell us rationally where it's from then.
I'll tell you. I think Muhammad was a very, very smart man. He showed himself he showed himself to be incredibly smart in terms of military strategy, in terms of like you said, in terms of what he said, in terms of. But I don't think that you can now, because that's a deductive assumption. That's inherently deductive. What you're saying, he doesn't have access to that knowledge. Hence, there's the divine creator. You're making a jump there.
That's not the claim we're making.
We're saying is the information that he had.
It wasn't there. It wasn't there.
You're saying.
I know it wasn't there.
No, you're saying simply. Let's understand something. You're saying he's so smart he could filter all of this incorrect information because he has access to some special tools that he had, which wasn't even developed. Not only that, he even challenged the whole world to bring something like the Quran, and yet people are still struggling to imitate it. This is what we should be discussing, because things that he said in terms of falsification tests, you'd expect to be absent. Why is he putting his honor, his stake, his prophethood on stake when he could have just simply not made any of these claims? Why is he saying, you know what, the Romans and the Byzantines and so on, look, they're having a war, but the Romans have been defeated, but you know what, sooner, in 3 to 9 years' time, even though they've been defeated, they will be victorious again. Why is he saying that? Because does he know the future? Think about it.
Understand is that today's scientists, they come up with theories, new theories, don't they? Yes. Would we ever say, "Oh, this probably was discovered 500 years ago. We might just have lost it, and they might just have found it, and they might just have added it"? No. Why don't we say that? Because it's not a reasonable thing to assume, right? So, on balance of probability, when a man in a desert in the 7th century talks about profound things that were discovered 1,000 or 1,500 years, 1,800 years after, 1,300, 1,200 years afterwards, it's not reasonable to just nullify all of that by saying, well, it could have all been there before, and he could have just happened to get it all right and come up with in fact novel.
I'm saying
new
that the
theories.
knowledge could have been there. We don't know that it was there.
No, but on balance of probability.
If that was the case, if that was the case, the knowledge was already there, then it would already be disseminated. Now the problem is you have no other. You have no other.
Later on.
You have no other contemporary source that gives.
There is no source.
That gives the same information.
There is no source, but that's the problem with history.
So he single-handedly deciphered the hieroglyphics. He single-handedly understood the embryology and all these natural phenomena. And not only he did that, he was able to correct their misunderstanding of scientific reality, whether it's to do with the space, whether it's to do with interoceanic things.
I'm not saying it was just him. It could have been. He could have had a team. I'm saying, but
where
I'm
are those teams?
I'm not saying that.
Where are these teams? Why is the Quran simply saying this is a revelation from God? And if you had a teacher, they would have just said, "Hey, hold on a second, I taught you that." Why is it? Why is it
from God? It lends it legitimacy.
No.
It lends it legitimacy.
Imagine his teacher was there.
It allows the people to stand behind something that's not.
But think about it, Alexis. If he claimed that to be a revelation from God, imagine you did that, and these are your teachers.
Yeah.
They're going to leave you alone? They're going to expose you to the whole world what an imposter you are because they taught you.
That's what happened with him at the beginning.
No teacher has been demonstrated to come up like, "Oh, I taught him that," and so on. Historically absent from Muslim sources and non-Muslim sources. But that's why I went beyond the knowledge that you think may be available. I said, why is he making predictions of the future? And how does he even get it right? Does he know the future? Number one. How is he able to say no one is going to imitate like this Quran? And people are still unable to do that. Why is he making these claims? That even in Dawah, the Quran claims that if you're in doubt as to what God has revealed to his servant, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this book produced
skyscrapers in the deserts.
Produce a chapter like the Quran. Why is the Quran making that claim? And why are people who are experts in Arabic? Do you know there are so many atheist Arabs even today?
I'm sure.
Yeah, underground and overground, right? Many atheist Arabs. They're born Arab and they will die as an Arab.
Yeah.
Why are they unable to imitate something like the Quran? They don't have to say, "Oh, I made it." They could have simply anonymously produced this work. An excuse we hear is, "Oh, their life is in danger because if they imitated the Quran." Silly argument. Because they could just simply produce the work and there you go, the whole work.
I think the idea of the God.
I'm not talking about God. I'm talking about when the Quran makes the claims like this, you have to explain rationally, how is it impossible to imitate?
Yeah.
You know what? You can imitate Shakespeare. You can imitate Beethoven. You can imitate any of this literary genius of music and literature and art and so on. Why is Quran unimitable? Is the question. Rationally, needing an answer.
No, I agree. I agree. But what my point is that I think, by saying that there is a God, like let's say, like by saying that there is something behind what I'm saying here, that means that someone I've received like divine instruction. I've got divine instruction. But that inherently means that like attack. I won't be attacked directly. I lend my ideas to someone else. By that way, people can stand behind something. People can stand. It's the very idea of faith, because it's where faith comes in. Because you can't, as much as you can have a faith in one man, once that man dies, the faith dies. But what Muhammad did is he placed that within God's purview, within something that we cannot touch, we cannot understand, something that's not on our earth. So by that way, he sheltered away criticism, he sheltered away, and he created the perfect recipe for unification. Because once he dies,
we already tackled.
The message is not from him; it's from God.
We already responded to about unification theories,
yes,
and it doesn't sound historically. The other point I want to make is, if there was a God, what do you expect from him in terms of proof and evidence to us?
If there was a God?
Yeah. Because what we are saying is the Quran is giving you this proof and evidence to accept that there is a God. How else would you?
Prayer.
How else?
I mean, if you pray and your prayers are answered.
Many people's prayers are answered. Prophet Muhammad, when he prayed, his prayers are answered. Yeah. This was seen. So I want to know from you, how else would you expect to say, if the God existed, I expect such and such evidence? What is your expectation of God? Because you seem to be
of God,
struggling with that. What is it that's stopping you saying, okay, you know what? I'm still not convinced because I expect this, and that.
No, I say that expectation. I personally, because I don't seek that expectation. I don't seek.
But suppose there was a God.
I don't seek it.
What do we expect?
Yes,
what do we expect? Not you personally, but what do we expect?
I assume you suspect you live your life according to the Quran.
No. To affirm the existence of the Creator.
I actually don't know how.
We need to think rationally, because if the question of God's existence is in dispute, right? So we need to have some kind of understanding. What are we expecting then?
Yeah.
What does God have to do to make us convinced about Him? So what is it that you're expecting?
I mean, you can tell me that, because I don't expect anything. That's the thing.
What should we expect?
Yes, but can you tell me that, please? Because I don't know.
We should expect convincing evidences which shows the handiwork of God.
And what are those? What is that?
The examples that we've given. It cannot come from one human being, let alone the whole of humanity. Like this challenge of the Quran to imitate the Quran, it's not just saying, okay, I expect one human being to do it. The whole human being, not only that, whole jinns, another living creature of God, they're also included to meet this challenge.
Would you expect to see jinns physically?
That's not the question we asked you.
But the question is, even the jinns can help you to do that job. The fact that no one is able to do it, it gives you credibility that this book is indeed what it claims to be. Because if it was from a human being or a group of human beings, you should be able to imitate it.
Yeah.
But because we cannot imitate it, then we need to really take this claim seriously, that it says it's from God and we can't imitate it. That's what we expect. If it was from God, it should not be imitable. If it was from God, it should say something. It should say something that we know, that it would know the secrets of the heavens and the earth.
Yeah.
For example, about these things, the Quran says God has not placed two hearts in one man. He's a medical doctor. He will tell you, no adult human beings is ever known to have two hearts. Even though there were babies known in history, they died. Quran uses the word rajul, an adult human being. How is it possible? How is it possible that he knows that this will never happen, and it never happened in history?
I'm going to be honest with you.
But it's also more profound than that, actually.
Huh?
It's more profound than that.
Yeah.
Allah specifically mentions man.
Men, not women. Why?
He doesn't mention women. Did you know a woman can have two hearts in her body?
When a baby is developing with a heart, that's another heart.
Hold on. But the grammar of the Quran, when we study, is so precise when it comes to these matters that you wonder why specifically Allah did not mention humankind. Allah mentioned man. The point that I'm trying to make to you, brother, and what Mansur is trying to say to you is this. Do you believe the works of Aristotle were Aristotle's works?
I don't, but I take them as a canon of philosophy.
Do you believe that they're probably from Aristotle?
Yes.
Do you believe that the works
Maybe they're
Plato
from, I don't think Shakespeare was one individual. I think he was 3 or 4.
From Plato?
Plato, yeah.
Yeah. Shakespeare, maybe you say 1 or 2, but Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Okay. So then when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, we have more history, more testimony, more eyewitness testimony, multiple testimonies in multiple locations in the world, of the complete chain of testimonies of the very people that witnessed those things are saying that these were the words that came from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. You would rather deny that and accept ulterior. And so what we're trying to say to you is, be consistent, man.
Oh, I know, but
if all of the evidence points towards A, why do you go to B?
Because I think
as a reasonable possibility.
What I would say, what I would respond to that is I think, like, the Quran, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of work. It's a beautiful piece of spiritual work. Like you said, academic. It's instructive. But then, even though it's so profound in its instruction, as all of you have told me, as you've outlined, I don't see that equivalating to. I don't see Muhammad not being able to work that out by himself.
But you haven't studied the Quran. Though.
Yes, this is why I'm saying that I will come back and I will look.
So you're not therefore in a position to be able to assess the miracle if you haven't even studied it. That's all we're saying to you.
No, I know. This is why I say I will. I'll go into the Quran.
What we're trying to say to you is, look, here's the Quran. These are the claims that are being made. We would say by God why it's a miracle. At least with an open heart and an open mind, study those to ascertain whether it's reasonable, that this was the work of Muhammad or some men, or in fact it's so profound that it could only come from God.
No.
And then that, at least then you're being honest and you're being fair. Because you're assessing the claim and assessing the evidence.
No, this is what I'll do. This is what I do.
What we're saying to you, brother, is this. Don't discard it because of a predisposition of already denying it. Don't fall into that. We're just saying, look, be reasonable. We're not saying accept what we're saying, but at least study it.
No.
Would you agree, Doctor?
Yes, no, I completely agree. And this has been a very enlightening conversation for me as well, because like I said, I refute religion on different grounds than we clearly had. It took about an hour for us to understand that. But I refute it on different grounds. But I haven't really studied the Quran like I should have.
Take our email.
Yes,
please
sure.
contact us.
No, I want to be.
We can have discussions off camera.
Yes.
But what I would say to you, my brother, is this: if there is a possibility of an afterlife, you have to accept that surely that's of more value than anything else in this world, if it exists. If right. So would it not be prudent for you, my brother, to at least ensure, for your own safeguarding of your own self and your potential eternal life, that you assess these claims using an open heart and an open mind, and go wherever the evidence takes you? Is that not a reasonable thing to do? So what we would say to you, brother, is engage off camera if you want to. Of course, let's provide the evidence to you. I would say to you, read the book by Hamza Zorsis.
No, I'd say I'll read the book
of The Divine Reality. You can watch it on YouTube or hear it on YouTube. It's about 10 or 12 parts, I can't remember. It's called The Divine Reality. And I would say just look at those arguments. They're quite profound.
No, I just need the arguments to be able to argue
and then look at the Quran and assess it for yourself.
Yes, yeah. No,
don't make up your mind before you've even done that. Yeah. That's what I would say to you.
No, I agree.
It started raining. I think it's time to.
I think so.
Go and pray Maghrib.
I think so. Yes. But thank you so much.
It's a pleasure
It
to
was
really
pleasure,
talk to you.
pleasure for the
Our email address is efdawah.com.
Yes, no problem.
Okay.
What is it?
The YouTube channel is also EF Dawah. Brother Mansur's got a channel called DawahWise as well, and I think your email is DawahWise
at gmail.com.
DawahWise.
Can you see that symbol there on his hat? Here. Can you see that hat symbol there on his hat?
Yes.
And it says wise, so it's Dawah as in DAWAH, wise.
Okay.
At gmail.com, and DawahWise is the YouTube channel.
Okay. But I'll come back here next week on next Sunday.
Oh, take your time. Don't rush it.
Exactly.
Take your time.
No, but I'll be doing this along with my studies, and I'll take evidence, and I want to continue this.
Just wanted to before Imran wants to say something.
I just want to say
The historical studies that have been done today is mainly done with a secular
that's exactly what I was saying.
mindset, a secular paradigm in which the basic assumption is there is no supernatural, there is no God. So the study will always have this understanding that this happened naturally. There is no God involved and so on.
Grounded in humanity.
Yeah, God's not involved. So based on that, they will teach you, and you will be unraveling and unearthing all these things. But that's the weakness of this method.
No, I
Because
agree.
it automatically have rejected from the very foundation any possibility of a divine or supernatural.
I don't use
The other thing,
scientific
I'll make that
method.
point. The second thing is
established.
it's a common tendency to
Right. So
superimpose
what we're saying to you
East, Western experiences of religion onto the rest of the religious world,
of how a man
and they don't correlate.
I agree.
So the Eastern experience of religion in terms of science and progression is
very different.
completely the opposite of. We never had the Inquisition. We never had any of these things. So just bear that in mind.
But this is my point, is that actually my contention with religion is more so with Christianity than it is with Islam.
I can get that.
You know, it's more so with that because I actually, where I began to be an atheist was not through looking at Islam, it was through looking at the Bible and looking through Christianity.
Yeah, we would agree with many of our observations about Christianity.
Yeah, but this is where my...
But don't throw the baby with the bathwater. That's the approach we should
I
take.
agree. No,
Anyway.
to be able to have a proper coherent
Pleasure speaking to you. Very intelligent and smart man. And hopefully, carry on.
As all of you are, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
You take care.
Thank you. I'll be back.
Is your everyone's mic?
Can I give you whose mic? Hold on, Awas. Did you say?
Yeah, it was getting wet.
Oh, getting wet.
Yeah.
Can I give whoever that belongs to?
Yeah, thank you very much. Finish on time, great.